Welcome to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. Today is episode number 149, and today I really want to talk to you about your urges, and I want to use one of my very, very beloved clients to help you understand more about urges and managing urges. Stay tuned. Hey, everybody. Welcome. How are you today? Well, I want to tell you how I am today. Right now, I always tell you I'm looking out at something beautiful, but today I'm back overlooking the ocean. And if I opened my windows, you wouldn't be able to hear me because the waves are so loud. Yes, that's what I'm doing. And I might have told you on my last podcast that I was going with my sisters, my three sisters and my mom, and that we were going to Santa Rosa Beach in Florida. We took a girls' trip and we drove. And it was so much fun. And I am so fortunate to have three awesome sisters and an unbelievable mom. And we did have as much fun as I thought. And also a few little squabbles. Of course, but it was more fun and more filled with love than any trip we've ever had. It just keeps getting better and better. But here's what I want to tell you. I had so much fun and loved this area so much that guess what? I decided I needed to stay longer. I called my wonderful husband and said, come on down. I got us another place and decided to stay longer, which is why I'm here today talking to you from Santa Rosa Beach. So, the only thing I want to say about that is if there's something you really want to do, figure out a way to do it and go do it, right? Don't wait. Figure it out and go do it because it's really all in your head first. And then once you decide, you do it. I'm having a very, very good time. But what I want to talk to you about today, after I talk to you about the beach and how beautiful it is that I also get the privilege of being able to work anywhere in the world, if you could call it work, because it doesn't feel much like work. But I get to talk to all of my clients right here on this beautiful beach. I keep my doors closed. Oh, actually, I had them open and it wasn't too loud. But I can work anywhere in the world and do something that I love anywhere in the world. And I never, ever forget that. So today is no exception. I want to introduce you to another one of my clients. I usually don't do 2 podcasts in a row of interviews, but I've had so many beautiful endings with some of my clients that I just want to share their experiences with you because I know how much it will help you. And this client is no exception. Her name is Julie. And when I think of her, I think of her as the thought ninja. She has really figured out how to manage her mind. And I think she can share with you how she's managed it. And more than anything, I think that she can help you maybe learn to understand and see your urges for what they are, which are really just thoughts. So why don't you listen to this interview with Julie, and afterwards I'll hop on and maybe say a few things about it. Enjoy the interview. Hi, Julie. Welcome to my podcast.
Hi, Dr. Deb. I'm so happy to be here, and it's nice to talk to you.
Always nice to talk to you. So before we started recording, I was just talking about the idea of that you just ended our time together where we were working together, and now you're off on your own. Doing beautifully. And I just said to you, which I think is such a great way to start this podcast. And for people who are either doing it on their own or have been working with me and are now off on their own, is that it's okay because I really do miss you. I loved working with you. I really did. I loved it.
Thank you.
I loved
working with you.
I know. And I love you as a person. And so I do miss you. But I don't need you as a client. I just miss you.
Yes, and I miss you too. But I like we were saying, I don't need you either. I can do this, and I miss you. But it's really good to talk to you now.
Yes, and it's really good to talk to you. But you can miss me and you can feel that feeling. Like I like the feeling of missing you because it's like in my heart.
Right.
But it's so different from needing you.
Right. Definitely.
So is that where you are with me too?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Definitely.
Beautiful. Okay. So I think one of the best ways, when I think about you, what I think about you the most as my client is that you were like a thought ninja. You were able to manage your mind in a way few of my clients have been able to do it. And so that's what I want to talk a lot about today is how you learned how to do that. Because yes, you've lost weight and that is a beautiful side effect of the work that you've done.
Right. Yes,
But
it is.
yes, but when you look at this, what to you stands out by learning how to manage your mind? What stands out the most for you? Is it the weight loss or is it something else?
Oh, it's definitely something else. To me, just the realization that my thoughts go on in my head like a tape, but that's not necessarily something that I have to buy into or who I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like if you can step outside of that and see it as almost like a audio or a video, and it's not really something that it's just noise is what it is. It's just noise. And when you really start paying attention to what it's saying, and you can, and with your help, I was able to see it in a whole different way. And I wasn't like that before. So I wasn't able to see it.
Yeah. So how were you before you started working with me? Because, even what you're saying right now, like I didn't tell you that about thoughts. You figured that out on your mind, out on your own about how you see them. Like I didn't say, oh, I think that's the way you should look at them. You did that.
Well, it helped a lot. I don't think that I could have done it on my own. It helped a lot to have you point things out to me. If I would say something and you would question me or point something out to me, and then it was as if like the light shined, like I saw it. I don't know, maybe hearing it from another perspective, but I could just see it differently. It wasn't, I definitely needed your help. It definitely wasn't something that I got just listening to your podcast, or because I did do that before I worked with you, but just like getting somebody that can show you something different, and then you start to question, and then you start to see something, and then you're like, you have that aha moment where you're like, I can't believe that I was living like that or thinking that for so long.
Yeah, I would say there was a lot of aha moments for you like that, right?
Yes.
So tell me the difference for you, Julie, because you were listening to my podcast for a long time before you ever hired me.
Yeah, months.
Months. So what made you decide that you needed more help than just the podcast? What was that for you?
Well, honestly,
don't lie to me, whatever you do. Cause
I was pretty sure that if I talked to you, and then I was going to find out that I couldn't afford to work with you. So I held it off calling for the mini session. And then I heard a podcast. I think her name was Carol, but I heard Carol, and she was just so happy, and just you could just hear the energy in her voice. She sounded so good. And I was just like, I want that. So I thought, well, I'll just call for the mini session and see what happened. And now knowing what I know, I would have paid it many times over.
I wonder if that's a fear for a lot of people. It's like, it's going to be too expensive and I'm not going to be able to afford it.
Yeah, that's honestly what I thought. And I just was like, well, I'm not going to be able to do it, so I'm not going to call her.
Which is really just a thought, wasn't it?
Yes, because obviously I did it.
And I think that's so interesting because so many times, especially as a woman, the things that we can afford for the people that we love, like our children, it seems like we can afford more for them.
I know. And to say like I was worried that if I could afford it, I don't know. It's like how could you not afford to do it? But yeah. I mean that sounds very commercial, like rah rah, I'm pumping it up, but seriously, that's how I feel now is like it was money well spent.
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess one of the things that you said to me way in the beginning is once you know, you can't not know.
Definitely. And that actually was my mantra, I guess, throughout the whole time working with you was because, of course, I had fears that I was going to go back to the way things were.
Mm-hmm.
But that statement couldn't be more true. Once you know, you can't unknow it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so, like, how were things before you started working with me? How was it for you before you started working with me in terms of how you viewed food, how you viewed your life, and then how has it changed since working with me?
The first thing that pops to my mind is before working with you, I couldn't walk out of the grocery store without a stash of candy, bags of jelly beans, several different flavors. I was like beeline for the candy aisle every single time I went to the grocery store and walked out and with something, some sort of maybe a bakery good or something. And so the biggest change is now I walk into the grocery store and I walk right out and I don't have my own private stash of whatever. I mean, it's embarrassing to say it, but that was where I was. I mean, if there was any sort of sugary junk food around, it was in my mouth.
Why do you think that was?
Well, I know why now.
Oh, tell me why.
I didn't know then, and I used to beat myself up. Like, why are you such a loser and you can't control yourself and you're so pathetic? And
such lovely things to say to yourself, Julie.
I know, but now I remember one specific session with you and I realized that I didn't have to eat things because I saw them. And that was eye-opening for me because if there was something on the table that I saw and it was something that I liked, I mean, of course it wasn't something healthy. It was always something unhealthy.
Like it wasn't broccoli sitting on the table?
No, I could walk by broccoli, no problem.
Okay.
But you leave like Oreo cookies or anything out on the counter. If I may not have been thinking about Oreos, but all of a sudden I'd see one, I'd be like, oh, there's Oreo. And then I have to start eating them. But I don't do that anymore. So I can walk by Oreos all day. In fact, I unpack Oreos and put them in the cookie jar and I don't eat them. So
how come?
It's amazing.
So tell me, because one of the things that you said to me that has been so eye-opening was that the idea of managing your urges.
Yes, that was life-changing. And that's not even saying, I mean, that's not even exaggerating. That was life-changing. The urges, I know you've done a couple podcasts on the urges, but for me, it was all about the urges. Well, not all about, but they were a big factor because I felt like if I had the urge, then I always acted on the urge.
Yes, that. So for instance, what would you say? So what do you think the thought that created the urge before working together when you saw Oreo cookies was what?
Oh, I like those. Oh, those are so good. Stuff like that. I would think the thoughts are just more like, oh, there's one. I have to have it.
And then you would believe the thought that created the urge and you would eat it and then tell yourself you couldn't control it.
Exactly.
And it felt so real, right?
Yes. And I don't think I recognized that there was a thought behind that. I just felt the urge. And because the urge was so strong, I had to act on it.
And now,
but now knowing that there's really a thought behind that, and the urge is it's an urge. It's just something you don't always have to listen to the urge. And if you start to see it, it gets much easier. So I'd say, oh, that's just an urge. And just that little sentence right there takes the energy out of it.
Wow. So a lot of the things that we worked on is how to manage urges, right? To try to teach your brain to think something different instead of keep thinking the same things when it saw Oreos. Like your little brain was going, oh, Oreos. I have to have, they're sitting there. I must eat them, right?
Exactly.
Just because they're there. And that was a huge thought error for you that created all kinds of urges. It's there. I have to eat it. Well, of course I do. It's there.
Right. Of course, it's something I like. I have to eat it. It's there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So tell me now, how do you, because the urge can still come. Yes, it can still be there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell me how you manage it now.
So I think a big part of it is just realizing it. So I didn't realize it before.
Mm-hmm.
So now I see it. So I expect it. So, but a big thing that I do is I remind myself that I wasn't thinking about Oreo cookies a minute ago. And I'm only thinking about them now because I see them. Then I see, well, that's the urge. So I just have to a lot of times say, I have to put on pause and say, okay, you weren't thinking about those 2 seconds ago. And then when I say, oh yeah, okay, that's just an urge. And then I just go on.
And
I don't eat it.
Oh my, sounds so easy. I know it's really true for you too. And I know you're laughing, but I know how good it feels.
Oh, yes, it does. It does.
Yeah. I mean, I can hear it in your voice because we've had many conversations where you weren't as happy as you are now.
No, in fact, our first conversation, I actually hung up the phone quite embarrassed because I had cried so much. So,
yeah.
So it's definitely a big change.
Yeah. So would you say that, how would you say, like a lot of people say that I'm tough.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe working with me in terms of me working with you? Would you say that I'm tough, or how would you describe, I think people are a little frightened sometimes.
I think they're probably more frightened of what you're going to point out. I don't think that you're tough. Not at all mean at all. But you're not a pushover. And there's times, I'm sure other people have done this, but I felt like, oh, if I can, almost like you don't let, I guess the best way to say it is you don't let us get away with stuff. I mean, there's no little games that we try to play. You're going to call us out on it.
Mm-hmm. And would you say that was life-changing for you, or you hated it?
When it's happening to you, you might not like it, but but I mean, my life has changed from what it was. So yes, I guess it is life-changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't be afraid of you. I guess that's what
Yeah.
I guess that's what I want everyone to know. Don't be afraid of her.
Yes. Yeah. Because I think really what it is it's just like with you. It's like I end up loving you so much that I don't like seeing you dish on yourself and tell yourself things that are terrible about you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I don't like it anymore either. I'm not 100% cured.
Oh, sure. You're not 100%. You're not perfect, Julie. Darn it. I thought you'd be perfect by now.
But definitely. And I mean, I don't know how many times now I hear in my head, it's okay, sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
And I even say that to myself,
Mm-hmm.
So that right there was a new thing to learn.
Yeah. So why don't you say a little bit about that? Because really, when we first started working together, I don't think you knew how to be nice to yourself, right?
No.
So,
no.
Yeah.
I was a perfectionist,
Mm-hmm.
and if I wasn't doing it right, I was my own critic all the time. I was just super hard on myself because I thought I had to be. I thought if I wasn't hard on myself, then I was giving myself a pass and making excuses. And that was, I mean, the food, definitely. I figured if I messed up eating, if I beat myself up about it, then that meant that I was trying to do it. But
Mm-hmm.
if I said, it's okay, sweetheart, that meant, oh, you're just making excuses and you're letting it be okay. And that's not what you're doing.
What are you doing?
Well, when you I don't think motivation is the right word, but
Mm-hmm.
when you're nice to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you actually treat yourself better all around.
It's a good point.
You really do. And you don't want to do the things that you were doing to hurt yourself.
So let me ask you this. Did you do everything perfectly the whole time you were working with me?
I tried. I tried. I thought I'm going to do every single food journal, and I tried to be the best student ever, but no. And luckily for me, I had Christmas in the mix too. So
yeah,
that was a bonus.
Why was that a bonus?
Because if you're too perfect and you don't mess up, then you don't really get to the heart of what the problems are or the things that you need to address. You can't see them if you're too perfect covering them up. So Christmas was good because by the time we got to Christmas, I had been working with you for a little while and I had the Oreos down pat. But I wasn't prepared for all the homemade stuff. And
I did a podcast on that,
And so I messed up. I went against myself because of homemade stuff. And to have you there to help me through that and just to be kind because I wasn't being kind because I had gone, I felt like I had worked with you for that long and then I just went and messed up and, so.
So what do you really think that was all? I mean, do you really think that you messed up?
No, now I don't.
Yeah. What do you think now about that? I mean, this is really important because this happens so often.
I see it more of it's a lesson or a way to do something differently. It's like a light shine. It's like another shade came up on another window and you get to see something else because before it was like, oh, I can't believe I did that. Now it's, okay, why did you do that? And then once you can see it, you can't unsee it. And then you're prepared for next time.
So would you say the best, I might be putting words in your mouth. But would you say that maybe what has made you as strong as you are now was probably those experiences specifically?
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, you have to make mistakes in order to see it. If you're eating perfectly while you're working with you and not messing up, then there's really nothing to talk about. And then you don't get to the heart of it.
And so do you think that the reason that this is going to be your last time has a lot to do with seeing what happens when you aren't perfect?
Yes, that is part of it. But the biggest part of it is the urges and seeing that that's not really who you are. That's just a noise. And if you can look beyond that, you don't necessarily have to act on the urge. That for me, it's seeing thoughts for really what they are is what it is. And how I know that I'm okay and I'm going to be okay going forward is just that I didn't have the knowledge. Like I thought if a thought was in my head, that was the truth. That was a prompt or I was that thought. But now to see that it's really just noise and if you can watch it and see what it's saying to you and then really question, that's another thing I learned from you is really question the thought. And then sometimes after you do that, you're like, well, that was the most ridiculous thing I ever thought.
Yes. Once you can actually observe it, right?
Right.
And you're not so emotional about it, then you can actually start laughing at yourself a little bit.
Right. Definitely. And just seeing it. And that for me is probably what's going forward is really what's going to make everything okay is just because I can see it. I couldn't see it before.
I love that. Is this the last time you're ever going to do this again?
Talk to you? Hopefully not.
Okay.
But
absolutely not. This is not going to be the last time you ever talk to me again. Is this going to be the last time you'll ever have to lose weight again?
Yes. Yes, I believe that. Yes.
Beautiful. Because I believe that for you too.
Yes, I do. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, I loved every minute of working with you.
And you.
And I will miss you.
And I'll miss you too.
But I don't need you and you don't need me.
Right.
Thank you, Julie.
Thanks, Dr. Deb.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, as usual, I think Julie showed you that she is a thought ninja, and she has wonderful ways of talking about the mind and the thoughts in ways that I don't even think that I do in all of my podcasts. So I hope that she helped you look at your urges and realizing the thoughts that create the urges really are thoughts that create very strong emotion in your body that make you believe you have to attend to it. And what she showed you, I think the very specific thing that she showed you about the Oreo cookies, because Oreo cookies were big to her for a long time, and we talked a lot about them until she really had the aha moment that the only reason that she liked Oreo cookies so much and thought she had to have them is because she thought she had to have them, and it just created that feeling inside of her of needing to eat them and then beating herself up for doing it. And once she learned how to manage her mind around the thoughts, like just because I see it doesn't mean I have to eat it, that might sound light, but it can be life-changing for you once you see what's causing it. So I hope you really enjoyed this interview with Julie. I loved doing it with her. I loved working with her. And I really want you to see if you can find what you're thinking that's creating your urges, because for her, once she understood her urges, everything else was so much easier. What is it for you? I want you to really think about it. And the other thing that she said is really learning the self-compassion when you do find yourself not doing what you want to be doing, right? Life doesn't always happen the way we want it, and we don't always do things the way we want to do them. We are not perfect. We are not meant to be perfect. And when we can accept our imperfections is when we can actually learn to love ourselves, be kind to ourselves, and be compassionate with ourselves. So the only thing I want to say to you then is as you go through this week, please, please, please be very, very, very kind to yourself. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
I would like to invite you to correspond with Dr. Deborah. Go to iTunes, drdebbutler.com/iTunes. And you can review the show, and you can even give some helpful suggestions on what you would like to talk about in the future to accomplish your mindfulness and your journey into mindfulness. Thank you.